Salvete discipuli, hodie spectatis lectoram nonam capitis viginti novem. Imperfect subjunctive, subjunctive of sum and possum, and result clauses. Hodie discemus. Primum vocabula capitis viginti novem. Dende grammaticam capitis. The subjunctive mood in the imperfect active subjunctive and the imperfect passive subjunctive. Plus, we will learn sum and possum of the present and imperfect subjunctive. Then we'll learn result clauses using both the present and imperfect forms of the subjunctive. Primum discemus verba vocabulorum capitis viginti novem. In hoc capita sunt sex verba: condo, contendo, molio, pugno, respondeo, surgo. Primum verbum: condo, condere, condidi, conditum. Ups Romana a Romulo condita est. Quid significat condo? Ecce Romulus, ille conditor Romae. Proximum verbum: contendo, contendere, contendi, contentum. Qui in cursu contendebant, quatur equos agebant. Quid significat contendo? Proximum verbum: molio, molire, molivi, molitum. Si amici mei sunt irrati, ad eos imagines velum mitto ut eos moliam. Quid significat molio? Proximum verbum: pugno, pugnare, pugnavi, pugnatum. Gladiatores in arena pugnabant ut libertatem acciperent. Quid significat pugno? Proximum verbum: respondeo, respondere, respondi, responsum. Tu ne mihi nubes, dicit vir, ita vero tibi nubam, respondet femina. Quid significat respondeo? Proximum verbum: surgo, surgere, surrexi, surrectum. Calor surgit, frigus caldit. Quid significat surgo? Calor surgit, frigus cadit. Surgit, cadit. Nunc discemus nomina vocabulorum capitis viginti novem. In hoc capita sunt quinque nomina: fatum, ingenium, moenia, osculum, sidus. Primum nomen: fatum, fati. Tres parcae linum deducunt, und fatum quique homini destinent. Quid significat fatum? Proximum nomen: ingenium, ingenii. Romani credebant mores consiliumque quique homini propter ingenium magis quam educationem destinari. Quid significat ingenium? Proximum nomen: moenia, moenium. Moenia Romae ab imperatori Aureliano condita, tam fortia erant, ut ad tempus nostrum remanerent. Quid significat moenia? Ecce moenia Aureliana Romae. Proximum nomen. Osculum, osculi. Puer, puellae oscula in capite saepedat. Oh. Quid significat osculum? Ultimum nomen. Sidus, sideris. Hercules tanta facta gessit, ut a Deus sidusque in caelo faceretur. Quid significat sidus? Nunc discemus adjectiva vocabulorum capitis viginti novem. In hoc capite sunt tria adjectiva. Dignus, durus, tantus. Primum adjectivum. Dignus, digna, dignum. Ad hoc dignus sum, exclamat Thor, malium suum recipiens. Quid significat dignus? Proximum adjectivum. Durus, dura, durum. Scitis ne linum araneis factum esse durius quam ferrum? Quid significat durus? Ultimum adjectivum. Tantus, tanta, tantum. Jupiter planeta tantus est, ut 1300 terrae in eo contineri possint. Quid significat tantus? Nunc discemus alias partes loquendi capitis novem, viginti novem. In hoc capite sunt sex adverbia, denique, ita, quidem, sic, tam, vero. Okay, let's continue learning more forms of the subjunctive mood in this chapter. So first off, let's add a couple very important irregular verbs to our knowledge of the present subjunctive. So in the previous chapter, we learned how to do regular verbs in all conjugations in the present subjunctive. Well, in this chapter, we'll learn sum and possum and how they do things a little differently because they're irregular. Okay, so looking on the left here, we're just reviewing the present indicative of sum and possum, right? Sum est, sumus estis, sunt, possum, potes, possumus, potestis, possunt, right? The verb to be able in the present indicative. Well, in the present subjunctive, they're actually more regular than they are in the present indicative, which should help, right? All you have to do is use the stem si and then the regular personal endings. So it's sim, sis, sit, simus, sitis, sint. Okay, so I may be, may I be, you would be, he, she, it may be, we may be, etc. Okay, so that's all there is to it. And to make it, to make the present subjunctive of possum to be able, you just add pos in front of sim, sis, sit. Okay, possim, possis, possit. Okay, I may be able. You may be able, he, she, it may be able, etc. Okay, or maybe could, something like that. Okay, so as you see here, just put just C plus the personal endings and put a POS in front to make it possum. Okay, so as you're seeing, once we get into the subjunctive, things actually get a bit more regular. So it's not so bad as learning a whole new set of things, right? Okay, so in addition to learning that, this chapter, we're learning another tense of the subjunctive, right? So previously, we learned the present subjunctive. Well, though, you can put other tenses into the subjunctive as well as you can with the indicative. And today, we're going to do that for the imperfect tense in the subjunctive, okay? And the imperfect subjunctive is probably every Latin student's favorite tense of the subjunctive because of how easy it is to form. all you have to do is take the second principal part and add the personal endings. Yes, that is it. Okay? So here it is. Here's on the left, you see a first conjugation verb, pugno pugnara, to fight, in the active voice. And so it's pugno pugnara, okay? Pugnara plus mst mustis unt. Those are the personal endings, okay? And to make the imperfect subjunctive, you just add the second principal part. Same in the passive. Here's a second conjugation verb, habeo, habera, to have, and I'm just putting into the passive voice and the imperfect subjunctive. Ris, tur, mor, mini, tur, okay, the regular personal endings for the passive voice. Also, it's the same for even irregular verbs like sum and possum, okay? So essa and possa are the second principal part of sum and possum, and so to make them imperfect subjunctive, you just add the personal endings. That's it. SM, SS, esset, right, etc. That's it. Okay? Now, and by the way, the translation of this would be something like I might be, things like that. A little harder to articulate in English, but it's still used a lot for various purposes, namely purpose clauses. Okay? So last time we learned purpose clauses with the present subjunctive. Well, now we're going to learn purpose clauses with the imperfect subjunctive, and we're going to see why the imperfect subjunctive is so useful in Latin and so important, more so than it might seem. So you use the imperfect subjunctive if the main verb of the purpose clause is in a past tense. Okay? So here's what I mean. Here is a sentence we studied last time. Feles jacet in tabula ut dormiat. Okay, this is a purpose clause. The cat is lying on the table in order to sleep, or in order that he may sleep. Okay, this has a present tense main verb, and so its subordinate clause will have a present subjunctive. Okay, well, what if I put the verb of the main clause into a past tense, either the imperfect or perfect or pluperfect tense? Feles jacebat in tabula ut dormiret. Okay, the cat was lying on the table in order to sleep. Okay, so I can translate this as in order to sleep, just like I can up here, or I can say in order that he might sleep. Okay, so the usual kind of translationese for these two is if you have a present subjunctive, then you would say that he may sleep, and in imperfect subjunctive that he might sleep. Okay, subtle difference in the English, but it might help. So notice that we have an imperfect subjunctive because the main verb jacebat is in a past tense, dormire. So this is the second principal part of dormio, dormire, plus the personal ending that we need here. Okay. Same in the passive, right? So, templum aedificamus ut Minerva adoretur. Okay, we saw this last time. We are building a temple so that Minerva may be worshipped. Okay, present tense main verb, present subjunctive in the ut clause, in the purpose clause. Well, what if we put the main verb in the pluperfect? Okay. Templum aedificaveramus ut Minerva adoraretur. Okay, bit of a mouthful. We had built the temple so that Minerva might be worshipped. Okay, so again, adoro, adorare. Okay, adorare plus tur. Okay, the passive personal ending there. Okay, that's all there is to it. Okay, so that's purpose clauses, which we already learned the concept of. Well, today, we are also going to learn a new type of subordinate clause, okay, called a result clause. And it is like purpose clauses, often set off by an ut, okay, to the point where we can collectively call result and purpose clauses as ut clauses. And a result clause shows the result of an action, okay, as opposed to the purpose of an action. You know, it's nice when the names of things are meaningful, okay? So it's ut plus the subject, ut plus the subjunctive, which may translate to with the result that x does y, or so that x does y, or that x does y. Okay? And you can spot a result clause because it frequently uses signaling language, okay? Adverbs or adjectives such as ita or sik or tam or tantus a So ita means so that or in such a way or thus, and so does sik means in such a way or thus. Tam means so, and tantus, tanta, tantum means so much or so great. Okay, so those are kind of words that you want to look for as signaling language to show you that a result clause might follow. Okay, so here is an example related to Mr. Orange Kitty here. Feles tam fatigatus est, ut brevi tempora dormiat. Okay, the cat is so tired, he has been so worn out, that in a short time he sleeps. Okay, he soon sleeps. He soon goes to sleep. Okay, so we have signaling language here, tam. He is so tired, and the ut can be translated that or with the result that, or so that the result happens, and the verb of the result is in the subjunctive. Okay, and this also operates by the same rules as purpose clauses when it comes to what tense of the subjunctive you use. Okay, so this first example, the main verb was in the present tense, and so the subjunctive verb in the subordinate clause, the ut clause here, will be present subjunctive. Well, here we have the verb in a past tense. Okay, the cat was so tired that in a short time he fell asleep. Okay, so we have dormiret, the imperfect subjunctive, okay, as our subjunctive verb in the subordinate clause because the main verb is a past tense verb, the imperfect here. Okay? What about negative result clauses? Okay, here's where you need to pay attention to a subtle difference. Okay, to review negative purpose clauses, we learned that we switch out the ut for a ne as our conjunction to introduce a negative purpose clause. So we have cats so that not, right? In order that not, okay? So that mice not infest the house. We had cats, habebamus, so that mice would not infest the house, okay? So negative purpose clauses follow those tense rules as well. Well, negative result clauses do not use ne. They use ut plus something that negates it. Okay, so ut non or ut and a negative word, right? So you cannot have a result clause that uses ne. Only purpose clauses can use ne if you want to be negative. Okay, so here's a couple examples. Feles tam celere sunt, ut mores effugere non possent. Okay, so the cats are so fast, they're so quick, that mice are not able to escape. Okay? So again, we have signaling language here, tam, the adverb tam, so, okay, to such an extent, right? Plus ut introducing the result clause, and known here telling you it's negative. Okay, we don't have a ne here, we have ut known because it's a result clause, not a purpose clause. Also notice the use of the verb to be able, possum, in the present subjunctive here because the main verb is present. Feles tam celeres erant ut nulli mores effugere non possent. Okay, the cats were so quick that no mice were able to escape. Okay, so again, signaling language for a result clause. The ut stays there, and then we have the adjective nullus, right, modifying the mice in order to give the negativity to it, right? Also notice, again, main verb past tense, it's in the imperfect here, and so the subjunctive verb in the subordinate clause is imperfect, possent, which is posse plus the personal endings. Okay, so hopefully this is a nice review of how not only the imperfect subjunctive functions and is formed, but also, the difference between purpose and result clauses. Okay, so thanks again, Mr. Orange Kitty, and I'll see you next time. Wale te te skipuli.